Hi, my name is Martin Lopez. I want to welcome you to the three-step guide to home buying webinar. We're going to get started in about a minute. We have people coming into the webinar, so let's give them about another 45 seconds to a minute. Once they check in, then what we'll do is we'll get started. So I'll play some music, and when the music stops, we're going to get started. Well, hello and welcome to the three-step guide to home buying webinar. And it's going to I'll give you an idea of what the time frame is here. It's going to be about a 20-minute webinar. We're going to get in and get out, try to teach you as much as I can in the next 20 minutes about how to buy a house, okay? So my name is Martin Lopez. I'm a loan officer with a company called I Serve Residential Lending. And I've been in the business since 1985. I started out as a real estate agent back in 1985, worked with some of the big real estate companies, and in 1997, I decided to switch over and become a loan officer because I got married and was having kids and all that, and I wanted to take the weekends off. So, in that last, 29 years, 28 years, I've learned a lot about buying houses, selling houses, what people want, and one of the things that I've learned that people really want to know is they want information. They want to know what's going on with with them, what's going on with the process of buying a house. So that's the reason I put together the three-step guide to home buying webinar. Now, it's a webinar that I've been doing at the YMCA for about 8 years, and some people at the YMCA asked me if I could do it online. So here we go. This is why we're doing it online. Now, before we get started, I'd like for you to, if you haven't already downloaded the handout, go right below this video. There's a little button that says download the handout. And download the handout, and that's what we're going to be going over. And the handout is in three sections. The first section is the red section. That's how to get started. How do you find a realtor? How do you get pre-approved for a loan? The second part is the home search. Shopping for a house, making an offer, negotiating. The third part, the green section, is opening to closing. How do you open escrow and how do you close escrow and what the heck happens, during that process. And the bottom, the brown section, or the orange section rather, is getting your keys and moving in. And we'll talk a little bit about that. If you notice that the outline is in two sections, there's a section on the left. That's the things that the realtor is going to do. So if you're wondering what the realtor, your real estate agent is going to be doing, that's the items on the left-hand side. If you're wondering what your loan officer is doing, that's the items that are on the right-hand side. So let's get started. The first thing that most people do when they're trying to buy a house is they want to find a realtor. They want to. The realtor is great to helping you determine what your requirements are for a house: 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, condo, townhouse. All those criteria. Now, when we talk about real estate agents, I want to strongly recommend that you find somebody that has a realtor designation. A realtor designation is somebody that has, they have a little bit more training than somebody just that goes out and gets a license and starts selling property. So how do you find a realtor? How do you find a real estate agent? Well, a lot of people will go online. They'll search through, different websites. They'll find, Trulia, Realtor.com, blah, 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 all those different kinds of websites. And then they'll find a realtor. They'll say, hey, that girl looks like a nice person. Let me call her up and maybe they can help me. Another way that people find realtors is they'll get a referral. Somebody that they know will refer them to somebody that they've used in the past, and they'll then start that relationship that way. Another way, and a way that's becoming more common recently, is open houses. If you drive around almost any Saturday or Sunday, you're going to see a bunch of signs out there. So what people do is they'll say, okay, I want to live in this part of town, so they'll drive around that part of town. They'll see an open house. They'll see the house, they'll walk in, they'll meet the real estate agent that either has the listing or somebody from that office that is wanting to sell the house and try to help them sell the house. And then you'll fill out their information, you'll meet the realtor, and if you spark up a good relationship, then oftentimes you'll work with that real estate agent. Now, once you start working with a realtor, the next thing is the realtor wants to put together your team, your home buying team. So typically that starts with introducing you to a loan officer so that you can find out how much you qualify for. And that's called getting pre-approved. And getting pre-approved is going to give you a price range, how much you qualify for. It's going to give you an idea of what kind of rates you have, what kind of terms, and what kind of fees. So let's back up. So you're going to discuss those options with your loan officer. So let's talk about rates. Rates, what we're talking about is the interest rate. What is the interest rate that you're going to get on that mortgage that you're going to be using to buy a house? The terms, that means, am I going to get a 30-year loan? Am I going to get a 15-year loan, a 20, a 25-year loan? Is that loan going to be fixed? Is it going to be interest only? Is it going to have any bells or whistles? That kind of thing. So you want to discuss those options and those terms and those rates with your loan officer rather. And the other thing you want to discuss is their fees. You want to know what that loan's going to cost you. Are there any incentives? Are there rebates? Are there points? A lot of different parts to a loan. Lots of different moving parts to a loan. And then after you've discussed those options, found out your terms and your fees, and you feel comfortable with the payment and that mortgage and that loan amount, you want to get a pre-approval certificate from that loan officer. And the pre-approval certificate is kind of like having a credit card. It gives you, like, that's what you're going to go shopping with. So the next step, what you're going to do is you want to set up your property search. So the real estate agent's going to set up a property search. You're going to say, listen, I want to look for homes in this price range and that price range. And it's really important to do that with a real estate agent that has what they call an IDX system. Now, the IDX system, or their computerized system, is going to spit out every day to you an email that says, hey, these are the homes that are available inside of that price range that you want. And what happens is you're going to get so now we're starting to look for homes. We go into the second section. You're out starting looking for homes. You've got pre-approved. You found your real estate agent. Now what happens is in the home search, every day you're going to get a bunch of houses. It's going to say, this house is 266, this house is 429, whatever, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, all those different things. What you're going to do is just look through that, and when you find something you like, you're going to want to mark on that system and say, hey, I would like to look at these 3 or 4 houses. Then what the real estate agent's going to do is they're going to set up those houses so you can go look when you want to look. So let's say you want to look Thursday afternoon, Saturday morning. Then they're going to look, the real estate agent's going to call the realtor, because even though they're in the system, sometimes real estate agents don't update that information. There could be another offer on that house. That house may have already gone into escrow. The sellers may have made a price change on that house. And the real estate agent that has that listing may not have updated the system. So your real estate agent is going to take those 3 or 4 houses that you want to look at, going to call the real estate agent that's listed the house for sale, make sure everything's still, copacetic, everything's still good, and then set up the appointment for you to go out and look at property. So let's say you've gone out and looked at homes and every day you're looking at property and you're seeing these different price ranges that your houses. What you want to do is you want to stay in communication with your loan officer so that you can get, let's say for instance you're looking at $350,000 houses and your payments is XYZ. So then you go out and look at a $375,000 house. Well, give your loan officer a call and say, hey, Martine, what's the payments on this price range? I know you gave me payments here. I'm looking at this house at this price. Can you tell me what the payments are? So stay in communication with your loan officer throughout this home search. And your loan officer during your home search is going to continue to gather, analyze your application and all the supporting documentation to make sure that when you find that house, you can get that loan. So the things that we look at as far as loan officers and banks, we look at your assets. We want to make sure you have enough money for a down payment. So let's say you're using FHA financing and you're putting 3.5% down. You want to make sure that you have enough money in your assets, in your bank or your 401k or your money, or it's coming from a gift, that you have that money and that it's available for you. So we want to verify those assets. And we're going to look at your credit. We're going to look at your credit. Let's say you have a derogatory, maybe this is what happened the other day, is I had a client that paid off a car, but the credit union still marked their credit for 2 months as though they didn't make a car payment. So we had to go and clean that up. So you want to look at your credit. You want to be really focused on your credit. You don't want to go out and start applying for, let's say you want to buy a new refrigerator, washer, and dryer. Well, through the process of buying a house, you certainly don't want to go out and do that, because that can affect, and it will have an effect on how much you qualify. So make sure you maintain your credit, and then if anything changes on it, make sure report that. Let your loan officer know what's going on. And at the same time, we're just monitoring your credit. The other thing that we're going to be analyzing and looking at is your income. How much, making sure that that your pay stubs reflect the amount of money that you showed when you were pre-approved, if you're getting any bonuses, that kind of stuff, and then starting to verify your employment. Let's say you've worked at a place for 10 years. So what we do is we send out this verification of employment that comes from your employer, that comes back and says, yes, Bob and Nancy have been working here. That's correct. They've been here for 10 years. And yes, that is the amount of money they make. So it's just more of the supporting documentation that we need. So we're going to be gathering all that stuff, and making sure your ratios and all those fun things that you need to do when you buy a house, all that stuff is being worked out. So now you're out looking at a house. Now you're out looking at all these houses, and you find that one house that you fall in love with, okay? The kids go look at it. You've looked at it. Mom and dad have looked at it. Your friends have looked at it. And you're ready to make an offer on a property. This is the negotiation process, okay? So what you want to do here is you and your real estate agent want to put you in the best position to be able to negotiate with the listing agent. That's the agent that's representing the seller. So you want to do is get together and analyze, what homes have sold, and then come up with a strategy how you're going to make the offer. So let's say, for instance, you have a desire to have the seller pay $5,000 of your closing costs. So in this negotiation, that's where you're going to make that offer that's going to say, hey, I'm going to offer you this amount, but I want you, the seller, to pay this amount of closing costs. And the seller comes back maybe and says, you know what, we'll give you this price and we'll pay this amount, or we'll give you this price and we'll pay this amount. So you're going to kind of like a little tug of war. You're going to go back and forth a few times. So you want to be available to do that, to go back and forth with the seller, and then come up with a solution. Now once you've come up with a solution, you've negotiated, everybody's excited, starting to shake hands, everything's signed, we're going to move to the next step, which is step 3, the green section, open escrow. So now you have the house, the seller's agreed, you've agreed, everybody's excited, let's get you into that house, okay? So the real estate agent is going to open escrow, and how they open escrow is they're going to take that contract that you've signed, the addendums, the counter offers, all that stuff. They're going to take that to escrow along with your deposit check, deposit it in escrow, and escrow is then opened. Now you're going to be getting together with your loan officer to review your loan. So let's say you got pre-approved for, let's say, $420,000, but you bought a house at, let's say, 405. So you want to get together with your loan officer and make sure that the interest rates are still, where you want them to be. The terms of your loan, you're clear. I want a 30-year fixed. I want no bells and whistles. I want to be a mom and pop clean loan. That's what I want. Let's look at that. And then let's go over the fees to make sure that the fees are all in line. And let's go over the escrow fees and the title fees and how much impounds I have to put in on a loan, how much reserves, what are the different costs that are involved, how much the appraisal is, all that stuff. You want to go over all that so you're crystal clear how much money you need to bring in 30 days later when you're closing escrow, right? So that's what you want to do right then. You want to review the loan, the rate, the terms, and the fees, and go over all that with your loan officer, okay? So at that time, your loan officer is going to order an appraisal. Appraisal is going to help you determine the value of the property, and make sure that 405 that you offered, or whatever price you offered, is in line with what the appraiser is going to say that the value is. So now if the appraisal comes in high or low, then you negotiate. Well, there's things to do at that point, which that's really a conversation for your real estate agent. But that does happen sometimes. So if you have any questions about that, give me a call directly and I can go over that, one-on-one with you. And you can reach me at 619-838-1553. Well, enough about me. Let's get back to the webinar. So that appraisal is going to help you determine the value of your property. And then the next step is we're going to be gathering all the updated paperwork. So if you remember in the blue section, we started to process your loan. Now, maybe that was 15, 20 days before. You may have received a new uh, bank statement. You may have received a couple new pay stubs. So all your paperwork, you want it to be as up to date with the mortgage company as you can. So we're going to constantly gather this paperwork. Maybe there's some new signatures you need on escrow instructions or different things like that. So we're going to constantly be gathering all that paperwork. At the same time, not only are we gathering paperwork from you, the buyer, but we're going to be gathering the paperwork from the real estate agent, the contract. We're going to be gathering paperwork from escrow, the escrow instruction, their addendums, all that paperwork. We're going to be gathering information from the title company, which is title insurance, and we're going to be going through all that paperwork, right? So what you're going to want to do also at the very beginning, it's going to help you determine what your house payment is. You're going to want to order your homeowner's insurance. So if you're in a condo, you're going to have one type of homeowner's insurance. At townhome, one type of homeowner's insurance. If you're buying a house, it's going to be a different type of homeowner's insurance and different costs and different things you want to look at. So get together with your your insurance agent. If you have if you have car insurance, well, not sometimes, I've seen every single time I've ever seen is they'll give you usually a discount on that homeowner insurance if you go with that same company, or if you're going to switch companies, then usually they'll give you a discount if you do, it's called a multi-policy. So go ahead and start putting that together. Once you got your homeowner's insurance quote, you want to get that back to escrow and back to your lender so that all your paperwork is going to match up. So your house payment is going to match up perfectly. Okay, so now you have all this paperwork that's coming. I know it's like a big pile of paperwork, and you probably got big eyes like this girl right here. You're like, oh my God, what do I do? You got all this escrow and title paperwork. Well, what you're going to want to do is get together with your real estate agent or the escrow officer, the title officer, and have them explain everything to you. Have them walk you through all your title papers, all your escrow papers, all that. Okay. At the same time all this is going on, you're going to want to inspect the property. So we always recommend that you have a professional, a home inspector, go out and help you, look at that house, because they're going to check the light sockets, the water heaters. They're going to look at the roof. They're going to look at they're going to go around the exterior, look at let's say it's stucco. They're going to make sure there's no cracks, or if there are any cracks, they're going to point that out. They're going to tell you how many window screens are missing. They're going to check the heater to make sure the heater's working. All that stuff. Make sure the hot water works, the cold water, all that stuff. They're going to check the fences in the back. They're going to go through the garage. They're going to check all these items, and that is what we call due diligence. Inspect your property. So that's what you're going to be doing through this whole process. And you're typically, a real estate agent is going to give you a recommendation of a couple people that you can talk to. Now on the mortgage side, over here back on the right side, when we have all that paperwork put together, your loan goes to underwriting. So an underwriter is somebody that will look at all your paperwork and sign that stuff off and give you a loan approval. Now, just because you got a loan approval doesn't mean the process is over. Typically, loan approvals come with approval conditions, and the conditions could be, they might want an updated pay stub, updated bank statements. You might have missed a couple pages on your maybe on the bank statements you provided. Maybe your tax returns didn't have signatures. There's all kinds of little things that happen at the end. Oftentimes, the approval conditions are for things that the real estate agent needs to do, or the seller needs to do, or escrow or title needs to do to finalize all the paperwork. But once you have your loan approval and your approval conditions, we really are like, at the 11th hour, we're really ready to finalize everything. So at the point you get your approval, that's when you're going to be talking to your real estate agent about removing contingencies. You're going to have property contingencies, loan contingencies, and appraisal contingencies. That's part of your contract. So that's important that you review that with your realtor and have them walk you through the dates and times that these contingencies are, so that you remove those contingencies in the correct time, or if you have to extend, you know why you're extending. Okay. And the contingencies have an effect on your deposit, whether you're going to be able to keep your deposit or lose your deposit if for some reason you have to back out of the transaction. Okay, let's get to the fun part. Let's say everything's been, done. You've gone through, your deposit. You got your homeowners insurance. You reviewed your escrow and your title. You've inspected the property. You've removed your contingencies. The appraisals come in. It looks great. The property's been underwritten. Your loan's approved. You have all your final conditions. It's now time to order the loan documents. So your loan documents typically are going to go to escrow. Escrow will then review the documents, make sure that everything is in line the way that the lender wants it to be done, make sure that it's all in line with the way your contract is, and then what you're going to do next is you're going to come in and sign escrow instructions, and then escrow is going to request your final funds. So whatever money you need to finalize the transaction, they're going to ask you bring that money to escrow, and we're really done. We're real close to being done here. Next, what happens is your loan officer is going to take your loan documents, or someone's going to take your loan documents back to the mortgage company. They're going to drop them back off at the mortgage company, that go to the funder, the person that's going to fund your loan, the closing department. That part, the closing department issues the funds to close. I like this little monopoly guy I use, right? Then we send the money to the title company. The money transfers over to the title company. Now, we know we've been using an escrow company so far, but the escrow doesn't receive your loan documents. Those loan documents go to a title company. They go to the insurance company. At that point, the title company says, let's go and record your title. Let's transfer your title. The deeds are then recorded at the county recorder's office. Now, if you're in San Diego, this is what the county recorder office looks like, right across the street from the Star of India. You've seen it 1,000 times, I'm sure. That's where your paperwork gets finalized. So over here in the right section, that's where they go. That's where they go, and you then become a homeowner. Pretty cool, huh? At this point, escrow closes. We are all done as far as the process of buying a house. Now the fun part happens. You get your keys. Let's talk a little bit about getting your keys and moving in and enjoying your house. When you make your offer, you're going to have in your offer written when you're going to take possession of the property. The seller may need 2 or 3 days to move out. They may have already moved out. So you want to know, and you want to plan accordingly how you're going to plan your movers. And I know everybody likes to move on the weekend, so you're going to want to have to plan that out. So if you're closing Thursday or Friday, you want to make sure that seller is going to be moving out on that on Thursday or Friday. Let's say you close on Friday and the seller has 3 days to move out. That means they're not going to be out until Monday. So you're going to want to coordinate all that stuff. So make sure you're talking to your loan officer, your real estate agent, and you have all that stuff coordinated so that when you get your keys, you can, get that U-Haul or get that truck or get your friends, start packing it up and getting over there and moving into your new house, huh? Now you've moved into your new house is the fun part. Unpack and enjoy your new house. So thank you very much for attending my 3-step guide to home buying. I hope you've learned a lot. If you're already working with me, I want to thank you. I appreciate your business. If you're out there looking for a loan officer that understands this business and will care a lot about you, by all means, give me a call. My number is 619-838-1553. That's a direct number to me. You'll reach me. I pick up the phone, and for the whole transaction, and even afterwards, I'm the guy that you go to. I'll be there to answer your questions. I've been around for a long time. I don't plan on going anywhere. You can also visit me at my website, martinlopez.com, and where you can download the 3-step guide to home buying. You can watch a review of other webinars that I've done on that, and I blog every week, so you should be able to read what's happening with the market. Friend me on Facebook, Martin Lopez Home Loans, and if you want to reach me via email, martin@martinlopez.com. You can send me a little note there. You can also text me on my cell number, that 838-1553. Thanks again for taking the time to come out and listen to my 3-step guide to home buying webinar. Have a great home search, and I wish you a lot of luck. Take care.